Is there intelligence in the universe? And I don't mean E.T. or Mr. Spock. That's what this video is all about. Hello, my name's Stephen, and this is Faith Ministries. So, is there intelligence in the universe? Or maybe the question is there an intelligent design in the universe? If you ask this same question to people like Charles Darwin, Stephen Hawking, or Lawrence Krauss, they would respond with a resounding, no, there isn't. But intelligent design, as Stephen Meyer, the author of The Return of the God Hypothesis, causes their theories, their mathematics, their physics, etc., to implode upon itself. So this is the book, The Return of the God Hypothesis by Stephen Meyer, which is what we're looking at in this video. So this book, Return of the God Hypothesis, published in 2021, published by HarperCollins. It has 568 pages. The actual book itself is 452 pages. It has 70 pages of notes in small print, and the bibliography, where he's quoting from, 26 pages. So this is certainly a mammoth book. So who is Stephen Meyer? Well, he started out with a Bachelor of Science in Physics and Earth Science, with minors in philosophy and in mathematics there in the Whitworth College. Then he obtained a Master of Philosophy in History and the Philosophy of Science from the University of Cambridge in England in 1987. And then finally obtained his PhD in the History and Philosophy of Science from the University again of Cambridge in England in 1991. And more information can be found at discovery.org. At the beginning of the book, there are several endorsements by other academics and other Christian people about the book itself and about Stephen Meyer. I'll just read 2 or 3 of those to you. The Dr. Marcus Eberlin, a professor of chemistry at Mackenzie University, says, a marvelous compendium of indisputable scientific evidence in support of the existence of God. Dr. Brian Keating, the Chancellor's Distinguished Professor of Physics at the University of California, he says, it's a meticulously researched, lavishly illustrated, thoroughly argued case against the new atheism. Even if your mind is made up, especially if it's made up, he says, Meyer's refreshing take on humanity's most unbridgeable divide between secular and divine accounts of the origins of the universe is a joy to read. You may not come away convinced, but you'll be richer for the journey. And finally, Dr. Anthony Futerman, professor of biochemistry from the Weizmann Institute, he says, Myers masterfully summarizes the current evidence from cosmology, physics, and biology, showing that the more we learn about the universe and nature, the more relevant the God hypothesis becomes. So before I actually have a look at the book, how did I personally find the book? As a layperson, as a non-academic, non-university professor type person with any type of training in that area, I was actually captivated by the science, by the reasoning and the history that he brings out that is covered throughout the actual book. I started into it, and I do have a interest or a leaning to actually, and I enjoy reading heavy books. I enjoy reading books that sound more like textbooks, as it were. But at high school, I studied physics and chemistry and did quite well at them, but that's as far as they went. And other times I delved into astronomy and had an interest in the universe and in gravity and orbits and that sort of stuff. So I found the first section of the book really interesting, where he looks at people such as Kepler and Newton. These people were familiar to me, as well as their theories and the way of describing what is happening within their solar system and around the universe itself, and even looking at the theories of relativity and things like that by Einstein himself. However, during the second part of the book, there's 3 parts. The second part, I felt rather overwhelmed probably because I don't have a background in biology or in DNAs or rDNAs or RNAs and that sort of thing, whatever they are. I felt a bit overwhelmed, but I managed to struggle and plow through those chapters and get to the end of them. A lot of things I didn't really understand, but I could see where Stephen Meyer was coming from and the people that he was looking at and the arguments and the reasonings behind what was happening there. And then finally, in the third section, which covered quantum cosmology. Sounds pretty deep, doesn't it? And in fact, it is very deep, quantum cosmology. And he admits that it is a very deep subject. And I found that he was able to summarize it and bring it up to a level that even people like myself were able to understand and to comprehend and get a handle on as to what he was talking about and what these other scientists and their theories, etc., have come up with. It was stretching, yes, but it was well written and argued by him. Honestly, the book, it reads like an academic treatise with scientific theories and arguments of dozens of well-known and renowned people such as Stephen Hawking, Darwin, Albert Einstein, etc. But they're succinctly discussed and they're examined. And he looks at how they fall short of actually explaining the origins of the universe. They only go so far in explaining how things happened, how the universe works, how it is expanding, or the actual biology and how we're created and that sort of thing. So in a nutshell, Stephen Meyer describes the scientific basis for intelligent design. That's the key word that he has throughout the book, intelligent design. And he responds to all the different people that he brings in, different philosophies and different scientists and physicists and chemists and astronomers, etc. He responds to the scientific and philosophical objections and explores possible metaphysical and religious implications. Basically, so what is intelligent design? It's the idea that there are certain features of life and the universe that are best explained by an intelligent cause rather than an undirected process. Because for as far as quite a few scientists are concerned, they say, well, it just happened. It just happened. The universe just happened. It started off with a Big Bang. And what came before the Big Bang, we don't know, but it just happened. Undirected process. Intelligent design is based upon standard scientific methods of reasoning. And in fact, it's not a new idea. It's an ancient idea. And Stephen Meyer, right at the beginning, he goes through how up until, I think it's the 1800s, you had people like Isaac Newton and Kepler and all these guys, and they explained the universe, they explained how things were happening in the solar system, etc. But they came from it from a God point of view. They knew that there was a God, and they knew that he had an influence and a part of the creation and sustaining what was happening. But then there was an enlightenment, a renaissance, and people became enlightened, and so they threw God out the door and decided, well, we have a better idea. We know how to explain the creation. We know how to explain how the universe got here, how people were made, and how biology was formed, etc. We don't need God. And that's what Stephen Meyer, he looks at. Now, let me just, to give you an idea of what's in the book, please bear with me. I'm going to read through the contents. Yeah, the contents here on this page here. Part 1, he talks about the rise and fall of theistic science, the Judeo-Christian origins of modern science. Number 2, the 3 metaphors and making of the scientific world picture. Number 3, the rise of scientific materialism and the eclipse of theistic science. Part 2, the return of the God hypothesis. So he goes on with number 4, then the light from distant galaxies. 5, the Big Bang theory. 6, the curvature of space and the beginning of the universe. 7, Goldilocks universes. 8, extreme fine-tuning by design. 9, the origin of life and the DNA enigma. 10, the Cambrian and other information explosions. Then the third part, he looks at inferences to the best metaphysical explanation. So he goes on with number 11, how to assess a metaphysical hypothesis. the God hypothesis and the beginning of the universe, the God hypothesis and the design of the universe, the God hypothesis and the design of life. Part 4, the conjectures and refutations. Part number 15, the information shell game. Number 16, one God or many universes. I thought that was quite interesting. Many universes. We're not alone. There's not just one universe, they say. There's multiple universes. Number 17, Stephen Hawking and quantum cosmology. 18, the cosmological information problem. 19, collapsing waves and the Boltzmann brains. And finally, number 5, the conclusion, where he looks at the acts of God or God of the gaps. And then finally, the big questions and why they matter. As you can see, it is a pretty meaty sort of a book, but I know that you would enjoy it if you actually took the time to read it. So basically, there are 4 worldviews that he keeps coming back to within the book itself. And they sort of possible ways of answering the questions of, does God exist? If so, is God personal or impersonal? And thirdly, if he's personal, does God act only at the beginning of the universe or also after when it was created? For example, there are Christians or Christian scientists and Christians out there who believe that, yes, there is a God and he created the universe, he got everything going, but then he went off and did something else. And so it's just the laws of physics and the laws of biology, etc., that are keeping the whole thing going. 4 worldviews postulated by Meyer. Number 1, naturalism, or also called materialism, which views matter and energy and the laws of nature as being the prime realities. There's nothing else besides the laws of matter and energy, and you can write big mathematical equations and they will answer everything. Pantheism. Pantheism asserts that an impersonal deity is present in matter and energy as the prime reality. In other words, like you have some religions here in the world, they're pantheistic. They see that there are gods in trees, there are gods in the plants, there are gods in rivers and in oceans and the sky, etc. So that is as far as they go. Thirdly, theism, that's Theism, theism, affirms that there is a personal, intelligent, transcendent God who acts within creation. He not only started creation, created the whole universe, but he's continuing to work within the universe and in people's lives. And then finally, deism, that's Deism, it also affirms a personal transcendent God, but he does not act within the created order after the initial creation itself. So those sort of things that he just pulls apart at different times and bringing in the different the origins of the universe and biology and cosmology, etc. He sort of relates them back to those 4 world views and how they tie in with one another. So if you've got this far in this video, let me just read a couple of sections from the book itself to give you an idea of what it sounds like. So I'm reading from page 415. And the subheading is called The Causal Inadequacy of Materialistic Explanations. And he says, in assessing explanations for the origin of the universe, I have, of course, critiqued many materialistic theories, including the steady state and the oscillating universe theories. I also showed that quantum cosmology, advanced by scientific materialists as an alternative to the God hypothesis, failed to provide a causally adequate materialistic explanation for the origin of the universe, and even that it has unintended theistic implications. In addition, I argue that all materialistic theories of the origin of the material universe face a fundamental problem, given the evidence we have of cosmic beginning. Before matter and energy exist, they cannot cause or be invoked to explain the origin of the material universe. Instead, positing a materialistic process to explain the origin of matter and energy assumes the existence of the very entities, matter and energy, the origin of which materialistics need to explain. No truly materialistic explanation can close this particular causal discontinuity or gap, the gap between either nothing or the pre-existing immaterial or mathematical reality on the other hand, and a mathematical universe on the other. The second reading is from page 429. As you can tell, these are towards the end of the book. He says, the main concern about invoking creative intelligence as a scientific explanation concerns the possibility that such explanations will stop the advance of science. Nevertheless, as historian of science Stephen Snowballin, a renowned Newton scholar at the University of King's College, has pointed out that Newton's way of understanding God's interaction with nature did not at all inhibit his scientific work. Instead, his understanding of God as one, the source and sustainer of mathematically describable order in the universe, and two, the intelligent designer of living systems and the solar system, actually inspired his scientific endeavor. The Principia was a theologically inspired mathematical treatise in which Newton sought to bring glory to God by discovering, as its title indicates, the mathematical principles that govern the universe. Similarly, Newton's conviction in the ineligibility or intelligibility of nature led him to investigate how natural systems work so that he could appreciate and bear witness to their ingenious design. For Newton, postulating divine action as part of his natural philosophy was anything but a science stopper. So, in conclusion then, Stephen Meyer, I believe, demonstrates how discoveries in cosmology and physics, coupled with those in biology, they help to establish the identity of the designing intelligence behind life and the universe. In the book, I felt that he provides an evidence-based answer to perhaps the ultimate mystery of the universe. Is there a God? Did God create the universe? In doing so, he reveals a stunning conclusion, that the data support not just the existence of an intelligent designer of some kind, but the existence of a very personal God. So I would really suggest that if you enjoy science, if you enjoy reading heavy books, do yourself a favor and grab yourself a copy of this book by Stephen Meyer. You'll enjoy it, you'll be challenged. You may even want to give it to your scientifically based non-Christian friends for them to read. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share so more people may see it. And until next time, God bless.